citizenship before he left Wigan?
I'm not sure. I mean, it might be a family thing maybe, because I know obviously his partner's having a baby and stuff like that. So I think the thing is that for all this very confident that he's coming, it's not cast iron, and there's still doubt over it. I heard earlier it was back end of last week, that he's being offered around to Super League clubs, and that sort of, I wouldn't be surprised at that. I think the problem Widnes have got is it'd be a PR disaster if he doesn't come now. And I think I wonder, the cynic within me wonders whether Widnes are hoping that a Super League team comes in so they can say, oh, well, we couldn't stand in his way because a Super League deal came up. But, the longer it drags on, I guess the more concerned you get. I mean, Gellin's usually pretty active on social media, isn't he? And he's not really said anything about it, and you'd feel like if
that worries me, just because I enjoy the entertainment value of Anthony Gellin, and where's that been? And a witness suppressing this from him, James. This is not acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that. I think that's the thing. I think it's all right saying the confident, but if he was confident that he was coming, then surely he'd be. I'm not expecting him to put out a statement. I think just the lack of clarity on the whole situation, and the fact is that Widnes have got to the stage where the CEO can say something and people don't believe him. I think that's probably a more concerning issue at the background of Widnes at the moment.
I daren't go into that sort of nettle patch around that in case I get stung too much, because that is the real that's a bigger conversation, isn't it? But Jack Owens should be returning. He'll do a job in the Championship, I'm sure. And what other new signings do you think maybe are in the offing for the Vikings?
If obviously a quick plug for the Widnes Rugby Chat podcast, but I had a bit of discussion on this in episode 3 of that. I literally am struggling I've been poking around trying to find out what's going on, and I'm literally not hearing anything in terms of links. Obviously, there's still question marks over Chris Ninu, who is the only player from last season's squad that isn't. Unless you count Charlie Gubb as well, who had a brief stint at the end of last season. By the sounds of it, it's very much like the club or everyone's waiting to see what happens with Gellin and Inu before you see what else. My mischievous. I mean, if I was Widnes, if I was the coach, I'd be trying to get Martin Ridyard. That would be my.
Your wish list.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of Widnes fans
games at that level.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of Widnes fans who are saying, I need to sign 8, 9, 10 players, and I just think that's completely unrealistic. I honestly think they need probably 3 or 4, and obviously a lot of that hinges on Gellin and Inu. It's difficult. It's difficult. It's a difficult one, because it's like, well, what do you do? Do you sort of say to them, right, unless you tell us by the end of this week, we're binning you off? But at the same time, it's like, where are they going to find the quality to replace them? At this, I don't. The market's not. I don't think the market's ever particularly flush with players.
Is there anything maybe on the loan market, or would Widnes be looking to enter into any dual registration links that you're aware of with any Super League clubs?
I've not heard anything, but again, that's another interesting sort of option, because you'd imagine that Featherstone will rely on it as they usually do. You'd imagine Lee will probably have to rely on it given their situation at the moment. Do Widnes link up with, because obviously there's plenty of clubs around, Warrington and St Helens straight away. Do you link up with them? Do they have the players of sufficient quality for the top end of the Championship, if you like, that are available, if you know what I mean? I mean, I know Saints have linked with Sheffield, haven't they, in previous years? Mm-hmm. Have Saints got players kicking their heels on the sideline that would be good enough to go into a top Championship team? I suppose that's a debate worth having. There's also the point, well, do Widnes want to, having been relegated, is it a bit of a pride thing? Do they want to go?
Yeah, I think the obvious thing to sort of say then, to round that off, is there's probably still more recruitment to happen at the Widnes Vikings. There's probably a lot more off-season news to come in, but it's it's kind of gone quiet after a big burst.
Yeah, without doubt, they need to be adding, I would probably say 4 or 5, and that includes Gellin and Inu. And if Gellin and Inu don't come, then they're going to have to go looking somewhere for something else. I don't think it's as bad as some Widnes fans make out, but certainly a lot's going to hinge on what happens with Gellin and Inu, definitely.
I want to, Paul, before I round off this Widnes show, get your point on what are probably my 3 big concerns for 2019's forecast for the Widnes Vikings. So I want to get a little bit of a fan's eye view from the Vikings on that, and I'm going to ask you the same 3 questions that I'll be asking James as well, and they are, number 1, and I want quick answers to these. Number 1,
okay.
Are the halfback options for 2019 good enough?
Yes. I had to think then. I've written down my team of what I think should be playing next year, and I think if we put the right players in, I think we'll be all right. My option would be I would put Craven and Young Lions in. I don't think Gilmore's good enough. He may get another chance. He'll probably get a chance and be first pick for the team, but he didn't impress me enough last year.
Okay, so the second one is there enough depth?
No, we need some more players. We've got a lot of young players, but we need to sign some more players. We've not got enough depth in there. I think we will struggle if we get some injuries.
And then finally, Toronto and Toulouse will be at least as good in 2019 as they were in 2018, with looking at the way they've gone with their recruitment and retention. So my question to you is, can Widnes match them in the big games with Widnes's inexperienced squad?
I think depending on how the fixtures fall, I think earlier on in the season against them we may struggle because they've retained a lot of their core squad and brought some good players in, especially Toronto. I think as the season goes on, maybe in one-off games, I can see that we could have a good chance of turning them over. And then one-off games towards the end of the season, when the players have had a good season together, if we're in that position, I think we may have a chance to turn them over in them big games.
So, you've written down your team then, you said, for 2019. So why don't you just quickly run us through the lineup you'd like to see take the field in that first game? Then I'll give you the platform, and then we'll let you go.
Okay, so for me, I would have Ashall Bott at fullback. I would have Buckley and Ince with Dean and Brand as the centres. I would have Craven and Lyons at 6 and 7. My props would be Hansen and Tangata, with Hood as a hooker. I'd have Wild and Walsh as me second row, with Cale as me loose forward.
So,
and then
sorry, go on, your bench.
And then my bench would have John Johnson, Wellington Albert, Brad Walker, and Owen Falmouth.
No Jay Chapelhow?
No. I think he's a good player. I think he just needs a little bit more. But obviously, you've got that little bit. We've got quite a few prop forwards, and it'll be good that they'll be able to fight for places.
And because you don't want to overplay him, do you?
Yeah. And you've got that competition for places then.
That's a very young Widnes developed side in the backs, and then a very sort of experienced pack that you've got there. So I think that's a good balance, and that's a good way to end our chat about Widnes Vikings with you, Paul. So thank you for being involved.
No worries, thanks again.
So looking ahead more then to 2019, I've kind of got 3 big concerns looking at Widnes at the moment, and so I'm going to put these 3 questions to you, and you give your sort of quick answers on each of them, James. So 1, are the halfback options good enough?
I think Craven and Gilmore are good enough for the top end of the Championship, yes. But if I was recruiting, I'd be trying to get an experienced halfback in, because I think Craven, if it was my squad, Craven would almost be a utility cover for multiple positions.
So there's a lot of youth in the squad, but is there enough depth in the squad for a full season?
I think in the pack they're okay. I think the pack's probably boxed off. there's concern over the centres, which again links into the Gelling and Innie discussion. Like I say, I honestly think they're still 4 or 5 short, and I would imagine of that 4 or 5, 2 or 3 have got to be centres or outside backs. One's got to be a half back, and then maybe you chuck another prop in there.
So, and then finally, with only one promotion place up for grabs in 2019, Toronto and Toulouse will be at least as good as they were in 2018 from a playing personnel level. Can Widnes match them two teams in particular in the big games with the experience or inexperience that's in this squad?
Yeah, I think they can. I think they can. I think I've said this. I think as much as Toronto spend a load of money, it's all going to come down to the grand final at the end of the day. And we saw last season with Toronto against London Broncos that on the day, anything can happen. And the other thing is, presumably it's going to be in the UK this year, because it'll probably be fixed at a fixed venue like it has been when we used to have grand finals in the past. So I still think Widnes have still got a chance, just like anybody else has got a chance of getting in that top 5 and getting to the playoff final and turning over Toronto. Even if Toronto and Toulouse romp away as 1 and 2 in the league, I still think that anyone else has got the chance on any given day, because who would have predicted London Broncos would do what they did last season?
We had one listener predict that London Broncos would be in the £1 million game against Toronto. They wouldn't stick the neck out far enough to say who would win it, but that was a wonderful prediction we had. But that's a really positive note to end it on. So thanks for your input on Widnes Vikings during this off-season, James.
No worries, thanks, Mark.
Thanks for listening to this episode of SLP Shorts. Keep your eyes out for more similar shows as we look at as many teams from across the leagues as we can during the off-season, and remember to get in touch if you want to be involved. Also, make sure you check out James's shows that we discussed, particularly Widnes Fans, JDG Sports on YouTube, or you can also find his show as a podcast on Audio Boom, iTunes or Spotify. If you want more Super League Pod in your life, you can find us at Super League Pod on Twitter and Instagram, facebook.com/Super League Pod, or you can email us superleaguepod@gmail.com. You can also get more SLP content on our blog, which you can find at superleaguepod.com, and you can find other episodes of the show and subscribe through Spreaker, iTunes or YouTube, and on the Podcast Addict app. You can also find us on the Leaguecast Android app with some other top Rugby League listens. Then finally, you can go to rugbyleaguemedia.com, where you'll find us amongst a range of alternative Rugby League media outlet for your eyes as well as your ears to enjoy. In closing, I want to thank you all for listening, and until you hear from us again, keep enjoying and supporting the greatest game of all, Rugby League.